What's going on, guys? What's going on? I hope you guys are having a good night. It is Saturday night right now. It is July 2nd, and this 4th of July weekend. And I wanted to come in and do something that I do sometimes on Saturday night. I call it Dr. Boyce Exposed, and that is where you can ask me any question, and I'll give you an honest answer. So if you have a quick question and it's very short, I will give you a short answer. I want to say hi to everybody. I hope you guys are having a good holiday weekend. And I'll start off before I get to your questions. I'm going to start off with something that was on my mind. I was today I mentioned something I tweeted. My Twitter is Dr. Boyce Watkins and the number one, Dr. Boyce Watkins one. And I tweeted something like, I want my kids to be millionaires. And I noticed that there were some people that said, I don't want my kids to have it easy. I want my kids to suffer. I want my kids to struggle. And I thought that was really interesting. And I really think that as Black people, we got to sort of process what that means when we say we want our kids to suffer. We want them to go through what we went through, stuff like that. Because a lot of what you went through might have been bad. I don't know. How many of y'all, give me a yes or no. And by the way, if you have a question that I missed while I'm doing this quick little conversation, just repeat the question. If I miss it, just repeat it. I'll answer it. But how many of you went through like traumatic stuff as a kid? Give me a yes or no if you went through something traumatic, something that was terrible. And I'll say this. I think that for a lot of us, the stuff we went through was not stuff that a kid is supposed to go through. And I really think that, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying spoil your kids. I'm not a fan of spoiling children at all. I think that spoiling your kids does make them kind of a terrible human being. And nobody will want to marry a spoiled child. Nobody will want to be friends with a person like that. I had spoiled friends growing up and I didn't like them. But at the same time, I think that giving them some opportunity is a good thing. That means, investing for your child, that should be mandatory. That should be a requirement, just like feeding your child. Because I thought about this and I said, how is it, pay attention now, how is it that we have so many Black kids in our community that are 14 years old? They know more about dribbling a damn basketball than they know about earning money in a healthy, honest, productive way, other than going to work. They don't know nothing about investing, nothing about real estate, nothing about starting a business, nothing about the things they're going to need to know as an adult, but they know everything about football, basketball, twerking, dance competitions, cheerleading, all that stuff. Now, process this. That 14-year-old, in just 16 years, he's going to be a 30-year-old. And give me a yes or no. Do you think that most of these 30-year-olds are going to be playing football when they're 30? Do you think most of these 30-year-olds are going to be playing basketball full-time to make a living? They might still be twerking, right? The twerking is universal, but that ain't gonna pay the bills. Well, maybe for some people, but then again, I assume you don't want your daughter to have to twerk or your son to have to twerk to pay the bills, because now they got the boys twerking. You know what I'm talking about? The boys in there, everybody twerking now, right? So I would just say to you guys, look, I mean, success is easy. I say that because I'm 51. I probably couldn't have said that when I was 31, but as a 51-year-old professor who's an expert in economics and money and how people make money and all this stuff, success is easy. A big part of it is just moving yourself forward in the future. In fact, today in the Black Business School, we had a guest by the name of Danielle Leslie. Danielle Leslie made $20 million or something last year. I mean, she's a beast at it. And one of the things that Danielle mentioned was, she said, I like to time travel. And I was like, oh, time travel, explain that. And she said, I take myself forward. I think about where I want to be in the future, and then I start making plans to be that person in the future. So I think I would encourage you to do this. Here's my little secret of success. I'm not just here to just always just shoot the shit with you. I want you to actually be better when we're done. But I'm not trying to be preachy or teachy. Feel free to ignore it. But I want you to time travel, especially if you have kids. Every parent with a child needs to be a time traveler. And I need you to look at that little 12-year-old and remember, they're not going to be 12 forever. They're not going to be 12 for very long. And I want you to time travel and imagine them at 30. And then I want you to think about, like, what skills are they going to need in order for them to be successful at the age of 30. And I guarantee you, football and basketball will probably not be one of the skills that they will need in order to feed their children, take care of their spouse, or live a dignified, safe, productive life. So every child, if you got a child, get your child exposed to simple concepts related to investing, teach them things. Then also give them some assets. You got time. Start investing for them now. That $5 a day plan is magical. That's powerful. You do that. I don't care if you never went. You could be a person that didn't even go to high school, and if you follow that $5 a day investment plan I've been talking to you guys about, again, remember, I'm not a regular guy. I'm a professor. This is what I do. If you follow that to a T, your child's going to be doing better than 95% of all the white kids out here. Forget the racial wealth gap. Forget about, oh, I'm black. I'm struggling. I'm black. It's hard out here, baby. I get it. I hear all that. But the reason that it's hard for you is because nobody prepared for you. Nobody laid a bed for you. Nobody gave you an inheritance. Nobody gave you assets. Nobody made a plan for you. Nobody time traveled for you. So we got to be a little bit smarter. Remember, this platform's for intelligent black people. Doesn't mean you have to be there. Just means you have to want to be intelligent. We must honor intelligence. Media feeds you ignorance. Media teaches you to honor the ignorant. It teaches you to honor the self-destructive. It teaches you to honor those who are pushing you backward. I'm not here to push you backward. I'm here to push you forward. I want to push you forward to the future. So give me a yes in the chat. Give me a yes if you're hearing what I'm saying. I don't mean to be preachy on this Saturday night, but that was on my spirit, and I thought about it all day today. And I said, man, if parents would simply think about what their child is going to need at 30 and give them those skills now, give them those resources now, those kids will be ready. Think about how many people have to make terrible, horrible, really stressful decisions just because they don't have enough money, because they can't buy groceries. Groceries ain't that expensive if you got the bread, but they're incredibly expensive if you're struggling. If you ain't got no money at all and no way to get it. I watched this show on Netflix called Good Girls. It's called Good Girls. And on this show, all this show's about is three housewives, well, two housewives and a young lady that are struggling for money. They can't pay the rent. They can't buy food. So they start doing all kinds of stuff. They almost get them 20 or 30 years in prison. They start counterfeiting money. They start selling drugs. They start doing all this crazy stuff. They got guns pointing at their head and all kinds of stuff. It's a good show. But think about this. Pay attention now. If you watch the show, if you can visualize what I'm talking about, imagine if every one of those girls had a parent who just invested tiny amounts of money for them and let that money grow and didn't sell any of the assets, and they had $100,000 in the bank. That's what it does. I told you the $5 a day plan basically says that if you invest $5 a day on average, which is less than a McDonald's Happy Meal, and you do that consistently over a 10-year period, you'll have $29,000 liquid approximately at the end of that decade. At the end of 20 years, you would have about $102,000 liquid, not net worth. I'm talking about cash money liquidity, right? You do it 30 years, you got $250,000 almost, right? It's not exactly precise for every economic environment, but it's very, very easy to do. And again, if you're not sure, the ebook is free. Just go to boycewatkins.com, where you can hit the link in the bio on my Instagram, and you can go there and you can get the book. And the reason I bring this up is because I look at that show and I see these women in these terrible situations having to do all kinds of crazy stuff in order to get money, and all those problems would be solved if they had a daddy that could write a damn check, or if they had a mama who had made some investments for them. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I hope this makes sense. All right, guys. Let's see. Somebody says my camera's glitching. It's glitching. Am I glitchy? I hope I'm not glitchy. All right. So how about this? We're gonna do Dr. Boyce Exposed, where I will answer your question. So give me a short question. I will give you a quick answer. So I see Lynette. I see your question, Lynette. If you can you shorten the question a little bit? If you give me a short question, I can give you a short answer. It's hard to get super long questions, but let's see here. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. I have a question, Dr. Boyce. Do you wish in the back of your mind Alicia gave birth to your children exclusively? No. No, I don't. I mean, I love her, and I mean, if I could go back in time, I would have married her, 25 years ago and had kids with her. But what actually is true is that when I chose to get married, I actually I like children. Children are fun for me. I don't know about, I don't get these guys that think kids are just a pain in the ass. Some kids are. I think Black children are awesome, especially when they want to learn and they want mentorship. So I truly enjoy that. So when I got married, and I had no shortage of interested women. I'm a millionaire, so it's very easy to find, and I'm not incredibly ugly, so it's very easy to find opportunities. Let's just say that. But I've never been a gigolo or a player, none of that stuff, because I respect, people's bodies and the power and the importance of sex and relationships. But there was opportunities out there. But I specifically wanted a woman who was. This is why I didn't agree with everything that maybe a Kevin Samuels said. When he says women over 35 are the leftovers, first of all, I thought that was kind of mean. You didn't have to say it that way. But then also, I didn't agree because I didn't want to date any women under 35. I wanted a mature woman who still looked good, who could help me be a better man, and who would get me to do the things I needed to do to have a better life. Like my wife got me running and losing weight, and I appreciate that. It was stressful, but I'm glad I look better now than I did 6 years ago. And the other thing was I was okay with, and actually probably more intrigued. Like, now I wouldn't say I had a preference for women that had kids, but as long as your kids are not crazy and evil, it's fun. Like I teach children for a living. So being around children was always like, a lot of fun for me. I'd always wanted to be a dad. I just was very busy when I was younger. And I didn't want to start over though. I didn't want to be 48 years old changing diapers. So having a child that was Tater, my little baby, the one that y'all see on my Instagram, I do TikToks with her and all that. Tater was 7. Her name's Taylor, but I call her Tater or Tay. Well, she was 7 when I moved into the house. The other one was 10, Nicole, and then Quincy he's now 19. And I have a great relationship with all of them. And I enjoy it that way because I didn't have to start over from ground zero all over again. I didn't want a newborn. I didn't want to have a newborn baby. It's very tiring. Shout out to the parents that are really doing it. It's just a lot of work. So that's my honest to God truth on that. And I encourage anybody, men or women, like, date how you want to date. Like, don't let what's popular on the internet shape how you view your relationships, because I'm gonna tell you, I gotta warn you, when you're listening to outsiders giving you advice on something as personal as your relationships, they'll give you some stupid advice, have you do something real stupid. Next thing you know, you'll spend your life regretting the fact that you let go of the love of your life because some dude on the internet told you that you need to put your finger in her face and tell her off and, control her and all that. Like that. Like, man, just don't do that, man. Like, be a man. Just do what you want to do. That, to me, that's part of manhood. Question, Dr. Watkins, you have gone on record with your critiques of Black men, especially in the Black manosphere of late. What have you done specifically to reach out to them for dialogue? I've always invited them for dialogue, actually. That's a good question, Mamiya. Every single person I've ever spoken about, which honestly isn't that many, I've always invited them for dialogue. The late Kevin Samuels, rest his soul, rest in peace. Kevin did a whole video about me years ago, and he didn't say anything negative, actually. And he's mentioned my wife on his channel. I don't think he said anything overly disrespectful. And with Kevin, I would have been more than happy to talk to him. But Kevin, I think when his channel kind of blew up, for whatever reason, I reached out and he didn't reach back out. So maybe he just didn't want to talk to me. But the other thing was there was maybe one or two, like I think like Kwame Brown had a lot to say, and I was reaching through to him through back channels. I didn't watch any of the videos, but I heard he was making a lot of videos about me. So apparently something was really bothering him. And my feeling is always like, if you're a man, you're willing to sit down and talk to another man eye to eye, face to face. So I was always willing to, I was like, look, hey, let's just sit down. Let's shake my hand. Let's look each other in the eye. And everything you said online, I want you to just say it right to me so we can really talk it out and I can understand where this is coming from, because I don't even know you, So ultimately, I'm not critical of the manosphere. I am supportive of Black manhood extensively. You guys have heard me consistently talk about the emasculation of the Black male. I just want you guys to have a diverse view of what manhood looks like, instead of like the false. I think people feed you a lot of lies. They tell you things that you want to hear. They can feed you toxicity because they can build off of your resentment, your triggers, your trauma. And there's plenty of people online who are very happy to take Black trauma and build on it to get you to hate the Black woman or to hate the Black man. I believe you can be a full-fledged, full-grown, stand-up guy, a powerful man, and not have to hate Black women at the same time, because that's just kind of, I think it's a little bit bitchy, and I think it's also not productive, and it's also not pro-Black, because all of us come from a Black woman. So when I stand up and I hate the Black woman, or I'm beating up on Black women every day, I'm really beating up on my mother. And I'm not going to beat up on my mom. I'm here to protect my mother. Masculinity is protective. It is not predatory. So that's my part. So my problem is not with the manosphere. It's with the predatory parts of the manosphere, or the parts that just are not logical and somewhat disrespectful. So So, if anybody misinterprets that, I can't help that. But I told them, I always tell them like, hey, you're welcome to reach out to me. I'm not some magical Jesus figure that you can't touch. I've told these guys that do the videos. One guy did a lot of videos. I forgot his name. His name's O'Shea Jackson, but I don't know him. And I thought that was weird because I know Ice Cube. I know O'Shea Jackson. Like he and I are friends. And I'm like, is his name O'Shea Jackson too, or did he take another man's name? I thought that was a weird. I'd love to ask him about that, but I told him, but maybe it's just a parody. Maybe people that's just what they do. They just make fun and think it's funny or whatever. But it's fine. I don't. It's not. It's cool. Let's see. I'm needing a real answer. Okay, I gave you a real answer. I don't know what your question was, but you got to repeat the question. All right. So let's see here. Next question, Rodney. What financial advice do you have for a young doctor making six figures in terms of managing money and keeping it within the Black community? Great question. Number one, make sure you invest as much as you put as much money into your investments as into anything else. If you're a young doctor making six figures, that's great because you have a lot of income and a lot of cash flow, which gives you a lot of opportunity to build wealth. But there's also a chance you probably have a lot of student loans and stuff like that from medical school, unless you were lucky and don't have any loans at all. I would not rush to pay off those student loans necessarily. I would actually take that money, put it toward, things like home ownership. Real estate is a great way to build wealth. Also, stock market investing is a great way to go. I would also say that perhaps if there's a way to get involved in a side hustle that doesn't take a lot of your time, that might work. Remember, I think as a doctor, what's so cool about being a doctor is that you're smart, you know how to study, you have a lot of skill. And I've seen a lot of doctors pivot slightly and literally find a lane that nobody else is in and end up making 10 times more money than the average doctor. So, a lot of us grew up in this world where we thought, okay, if I want to make a lot of money, I got to go to school for a long time and then I'll make 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. I know people who make $400,000 in a week and didn't go to college, So the biggest skill out here, if a person's trying to make money, it ain't going to school for 10 years like I did. I went to school till I was 31 years old. The best ways to make money is like if you learn business and sales and e-commerce and how to scale up a business, that's how you make the money. Like the people in Lamar Tyler's group, Traffic Sales and Profit out of Atlanta, most of those Black folks in that group are millionaires. They're cracking 6, 7, 8 figures, So, I think the world has just changed. And so I would say as a young Black doctor, if you love what you do, then keep doing what you're doing. Take that cash flow, I will pump it heavy into your 401k, your tax deferred stuff like that. But also, go into real estate so you're diversified, but then also be prepared for that next move in case you get tired of your hospital or you get tired of the profession. My sister is a medical doctor and she still does autopsies, and she makes a lot of money doing autopsies. And she was tired. She worked at some hospitals in Chicago, and it was burning her out. And she was working her butt off and just getting that little paycheck. And it seems nice at first, but then after a while, it didn't feel so nice. So what she did was she slightly pivoted, where she didn't go straight 100% entrepreneur, but she went and worked for a doctor that had a business where they were paying her more money to do the autopsies, and she was able to do contracts with different places. And now she goes out, and that girl be killing it. I mean, that girl she does as much money as she needs to do whatever she wants. So I would say if I'm a Black professional, I either if you hate the profession, you leave it and you find a new skill, you get with some people that know how to do businesses, or you find a hybrid where you can still take your superpower and just apply it in a different way. For example, I'm an example. I was a professor at Syracuse University. I was making $115,000 a year, which was a lot of money back in 2001. I guess it's still a decent amount of money now. And I didn't enjoy the environment. It was somewhat racist. The school wasn't really ready for somebody like me. So I took my superpower and I was still a professor. I was still doing research, but I just did it in a different way. And it worked out very well. So that's my 2 cents. So be flexible. Find out all the options that are out there. All right, let's see here. Do you believe in whole life index universal life policies for Black folks? Yeah, I do. I mean, I think that they're a nice vehicle. I don't see them as the optimal vehicle all the time, but I've seen people, do that. I think if you did a universal life policy and you were consistent with it, like you paid it consistently the same way you pay your rent or your car note, you're going to be financially secure. And I think that's the first goal, is to just be financially secure, because so many of us, we just grow up in a world where everybody is just a paycheck away from complete disaster. And I don't want that for you. So IUL will get you away from the shore, so to speak, where, you're the distance between you and the financial ledge is greater. So you're not so like stressed out over money. A lot of people are very stressed out over money, and I think that if you don't want your children to inherit that financial trauma of being stressed out over money and losing sleep over money, that's why you'll invest for them when they're young, and you'll also teach them about economics so they don't have to go through the same stuff some of us went through. Let's see here. Dr. Watkins, paying $11K for an online MED degree. Online MED, Masters in Ed. I think that's not bad. I think the question would be, Audrey, what are you getting after you're done? If you're looking for a job, what does that job market really look like? Don't just take their word for it. Like, really see if you can get some confirmed statistics on, how easy it is to get opportunities. And then if that doesn't work, you may have to go into a space where you can learn how to build some sort of business or brand off of the education you have. I mean, your skill is valuable, but a lot of times it's a matter of finding the space where our skills will allow us to be monetizable. And actually, if you guys are interested in it, in the Black Business School, we have something called Black Experts Empire that's run by my brother, who actually created Great Black Speakers, the largest Black-owned speakers bureau in the country, and Al Duncan, who's made millions of dollars as a speaker. He has all these corporate contracts where he teaches soft skills to engineers in terms of how to, just how to connect and communicate in the workplace, and they pay him a ton of money for it. And what they do is they focus specifically on helping Black professionals learn how to monetize their talent. And so I would encourage you to get in spaces where people are creatively monetizing their talent and not just thinking, okay, I got to find a job. Because sometimes the job market doesn't give you what you're looking for. Sometimes the job market sucks. And so if you're interested, just go to go to boycewatkins.com. You'll see a link for the Black Business School, and feel free to go check it out. Let's see here. Somebody says she chose your ass. Who chose whose ass? Whoever prefers you chose wrong too. Ooh, y'all in there fighting. Okay. Do you help without having to expose my personal life on social media? I don't know what that means. I'm sorry, I don't get that question. I don't think I exposed your life. I hope I didn't. Is there another way to insert questions? Just type it in the chat. Let's see. Are you aware that 80% of countries around the world are developing their own central bank digital currency? Really? I did not know that. If you want to know my two cents on crypto, I think crypto will make a comeback. It's going to be mostly like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the big boy cryptos. The tiny little loser cryptos, a lot of those are dead. Those what's happened is like that. Those how can I say those cutting edge, very risky kinds of ways of making money in crypto, like the DeFi and staking your crypto, and these stable coins that are supposed to be as good as cash. All that stuff bankrupt. All that shit went to hell. Like all that stuff, all those stable coins were proven to be unstable. A lot of those, those crypto stakers, a lot of those took people's money, and what they're finding is that they just don't have the backing of a central bank to protect them from situations like this. They're having a liquidity crisis because the crypto space was over leveraged, because the people, they love to take a lot of risk. They love to live on the edge. Well, that's the problem. See, people tell you to live on the edge, live on the edge. The reason they were comfortable living on the edge was because the Fed made it easy to live on the edge. It's easy to live on the edge when there's like a big mattress down on the ground that's going to catch you if you fall. Made out of cotton candy. Yeah, it's easy to be on the edge, but it's not easy to be on the edge when you're being pushed off the edge and there's nothing down there except concrete. So a lot of these companies are going to die because they were too edgy. Sam Friedman, I think that's his name, who runs FTX. I don't know what he did, but I wish I could talk to him because he sounds like one of the smartest people in the world in the crypto space. And the reason I say that is because he is going around and he is positioning himself as what they call a lender of last resort in this space. So what he's been doing is he's been picking up assets in the crypto space at fire sale prices. Like he bought a big gigantic stake in Robinhood because the stock had crashed. He went and made a massive loan to a couple of other crypto trading platforms. So he's coming in as a central bank. And I bet you the reason he's able to do that is because he did the first thing I would do if I made billions of dollars in crypto, is to get my money out of crypto. Not all of it. Not all of it. I'm going to leave some of it in there because I want a piece of the action, but I'm not leaving 100% or 80% or 90% of my wealth in crypto. Hell to the no. I'm leaving about 15%, maybe 20 if I really want to be enthusiastic about it. And the rest, I'm buying real estate. I'm over here. I'm all up in the stock market. I've got, 20 or 100 million or 200 million in cash sitting around just in case there's a disaster and I can go out and buy the world at fire sale prices. That's smart investing. You have to be diversified. When people are not diversified, they get killed. That's how people lose everything. Whenever you hear about an athlete who says, my financial advisor, lost everything, they lost all my money, it's probably because the financial advisor put all their money into, a couple of businesses. Like, oh, we're going to invest in this bowling alley. We're going to buy your cousin's liquor store. Not smart. All right, let me see here. Crypto will tokenize those asset classes. Okay. Can we discuss the impact of celebrities donating to HBCUs? I mean, I don't think they're really donating at a high level. And I don't believe Diddy, honestly, when he says he's going to do something. I need proof because he doesn't have a lot of credibility. I mean, he does a lot of talking, but then again, maybe he will actually write that check, but I know that Diddy used to call Dr. Claude Anderson and talk about how much he loved Powernomics and make all these outrageous promises from what Dr. Anderson has said, and Diddy didn't really follow through from what I understand. I don't think he's ever written a check. Ice Cube wrote a check. Ice Cube and I wrote a check together. I asked him, I said, hey, Dr. Anderson, they don't get a lot of financial support. A lot of celebrities reach out and they call and they talk a big game. Kanye was calling, talking to Dr. Anderson a lot. I don't think Kanye ever wrote a check. I told Ice Cube, I said, let's write a check. And I said, I'm not asking for your money. I got money too. I said, I'll buy 1,000 copies of Dr. Anderson's books if you buy 1,000 copies. And he said, okay. So it was about maybe $30,000, $40,000. I can't remember the exact number. And he was appreciative. And what was unfortunate and sad and kind of just upset me very much is Dr. Anderson said, you're one of the few people who's ever actually put money into the Powernomics Corporation. Let's put money into his institute, and then people like yourselves who bought his books, which, by the way, they're at powernomics.com. If you haven't got his books, I hope that you'll take a look at them. And I just think that's despicable. I don't have a lot of respect for most celebrities. They have to earn my respect because a lot of them became very famous because white people put them on TV. They don't particularly have any tremendous benefit for the Black community, but we look up to them because our self-esteem is collectively low, and we think that if white people have accepted you, then that makes you special. But the truth is, at the end of the day, I think you got to look at what are you actually doing for the community? Like, what are you really doing that's moving the needle? And so I'm not saying that the needle isn't being moved. I'm just saying that, it's all a bunch of nonsense to me. It's a bunch of symbolism. Symbolism means nothing to me. Let's see. You bought plenty of houses for $500. Who bought plenty of houses? Who y'all talking to? Are y'all arguing? Are you a fan of schools bringing back over-the-knee spanking? I think there's better ways to discipline a child than spanking them. I'm not a person who believes that spanking will just traumatize the child and ruin them for life. I don't believe that stuff. I mean, unless you're like beating them with I don't know, making them stick their finger in an electric socket or something. I mean, I got spanked. I got whoopings when I was a kid. I didn't like it, and I think that there's better ways my parents could have done it. But I don't, feel overly traumatized or resentful because of what happened. So I don't think it's the school's place to spank a child. And I don't think that that's the best way to discipline a child. I think that we should talk to kids, listen to kids, kind of work with them. But I don't believe in the way I see some white folks disciplining their kids where the kids walk all over them. I'm not a fan of that either. Let's see here. Okay. Other questions? Let's see. Bought Powernomics before it became a household name. Good for you. Is Acorns a good investment site? I like Acorns. I use Acorns. You are using some of my comments, but you passed the reel. My questions are valid and need to be heard. See, you can't just talk about your question. You got to ask the question. So if you have a question, repeat your question, and then I'll answer it. Will you ever do an in-person school in Chicago? Open an in-person school in Chicago? No. I support, my wife and I make donations to Freedom Home Academy International. Because that school is already there. It's extremely good, and they educate Black children at a very high level. So my wife and I have given a few $1,000s to that school. We gave a few $1,000s to King Randall School down in Georgia, and we also gave $20,000 to the Black Achievers Program in Louisville, Kentucky. Let's see. Lemire says, "Are you aware of a new financial system being underpinned by blockchain tech is being constructed?" No, I'm not. I mean, I've seen pieces of it, but yeah, feel free to tell me more about it. Let's see. Dr. Boyce, do you think the feds are trying to not tell us that we may possibly be in a recession? Do you think the S&P may fall further in the next couple of months? I don't know what the feds are doing, but most experts have concluded that the recession is here. The recession's already here, and it's got high inflation coming with it, which makes it into stagflation. Stagflation is pretty bad. It's a bad condition. They cause it. It's going to be tough to get out of it, but eventually the market will hit a bottom. And when the market hits a bottom, then people who purchase stocks at the bottom are going to start making money in the recovery. Remember, you don't make money after the recovery, you make money during the recovery. So that means that when the stocks are close to the bottom and you're buying consistently, that means that you're making money as prices go up. So pay attention now. If you have a company that used to trade at $500 a share and that stock just gets massacred and goes to 100, and you buy it 100, and then the price goes to 150, it's still a massacred stock, but you made a 50% ROI. Do you follow what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? So you made a killing, because you bought, when the price was low. So, I just really think people do it wrong. I think a lot of people don't understand that you don't run away from the stock market when it's doing bad. You run toward it when it's doing bad. You run away from it when it's doing good, and you put your money in places that are going to give you a better yield. Because before, the big problem was everything was so highly overpriced that just buying damn near anything meant you were going to lose money because it couldn't go any higher. So, that's my thought. Do you think it's a good idea to get a PhD in today's age? Yeah, I think PhDs are fun. I think they're worthwhile. They serve a purpose. But you just got to be really thoughtful about what field you pick and why. A lot of fields don't actually have jobs. There's way too many PhDs in this country because there's a lot of places that just give crappy, garbage PhDs. And there's a lot of fields where, like, I know people who went to Harvard and studied, I don't know, sociology or something. They can't get jobs. So it's like there are some fields where the doctorates just aren't in demand in the job market. But if you're a PhD, you're supposed to be pretty smart, which means that you should be smart enough to know how to monetize your talent. The ability to kind of monetize your life and monetize your talent is incredibly powerful, because if you think about it, people who are stuck in like corporate slavery and all that, usually it's only about $5,000 a month that they would need to be free from the corporate slavery. And I remember thinking that, I said, okay, if I can just find a way to make $5,000 a month without going to work every day, I'm good. I can live the rest of my life and be free. Entrepreneurs don't have a hard time doing that. Really good entrepreneurs, like people that are really trained on it, they take 2 or 3 classes on it and learn how to set up a business and get moving. Some of them end up making $100,000 a month. But if you never get exposed to it, you know nothing about it, then it seems like a foreign language to you. So and I believe every Black person needs to be an entrepreneur, especially every Black man. Black men need to be entrepreneurs because they don't want to hire you. They don't like you. And also, they're going to charge you with sexual harassment if any of those girls hit on you and you decide to have sex with them. They won't do that to women. They'll do that to men because men tend to have power, and the people with the power are the ones who get held accountable. So ultimately, when I talked to my son, I said, look, you're tall, you're handsome. He's not my biological son, but I'm his bonus dad, and I love him. And he's 19. I said, look, you're tall, you're handsome. I see the way the girls look at you. When you get into corporate America, you're smart. They're going to start hitting on you like crazy, and you cannot be in that corporate office sleeping with those women, even if they hit on you. Because if one of them gets mad and they go to HR and they claim that they tell a lie or they claim harassment or whatever, they will fire your Black ass, and they will ruin your reputation. They will ruin your whole career. So just be careful, and you probably want to make sure you save and invest and learn how to start a business in case they boot you out and blackball you and you can't get opportunities inside corporate America. I think that's the real conversation that Black people don't have. Instead, we unfortunately we put our kids in a position where they're just taught to totally depend on white people who hate their guts. Not that all white people are bad. I'm not saying that, but my good Lord Jesus, like, I don't want to depend on people who don't care about me in order for me to survive. That's not where I want to be. And I think that we got to kind of talk about that and be very careful about that. All right, so let's see here. Some employers will not hire due to overqualified degrees. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Explain the meaning of corporate America. Just a job working for a corporation, whatever that corporation may be. That's what I'm thinking. Have that conversation with the quickness. Yeah, I think you got to warn your sons. When I went to Syracuse University, my father said, do not have sex with anybody on that campus. He said that to me back in 2001. 2001, he said that to me, and I didn't. And I sat there and watched a professor. His name was Adam Banks. And I watched him, my same age, get caught where he slept with a student, and she filed charges against him. But it wasn't rape. It was like sexual misconduct, which I still don't know exactly what that means. And he was on TV. His mugshot was on TV. And I was like, whoa, my father was right. because nobody ever asked his side of the story. Nobody cared what his side of the story was. But also he slept with a student, but she was grown. She was 23, 24 years old. So, it was two consenting adults, but it was still inappropriate. But when I remember one time I said to an old, like an OG professor, I said, yeah, I can't believe some of these professors will sleep with the students. And he just laughed at me. He kind of laughed. And he said, do you know how many professors will sleep with the students? And I thought maybe I was naive. Like, I was like, well, I would do it. I would. There's plenty of women out here you can go sleep with. You ain't got to sleep with a girl in your class. And in fact, when I went to the Yale Club, in New York this week, and I met a guy. He happened to be Jewish, and he's a really smart guy. He was a professor at Yale and also at Harvard, and he was in the law school. And he told me, he said there was one professor at Yale that had slept with hundreds of students, like during the time that he was a professor. I said, hundreds? He said, yeah, hundreds of students. I don't even understand that. I don't even, and maybe that's a type of white privilege that's out there that I don't know about, or maybe that's like a type of just insane behavior that I can't understand. But, I just really think, like, I think men just have to be educated. Like, you don't want to put yourself in hundreds of situations that are going to possibly ruin you. Eventually it's going to catch up with you. I mean, you can enjoy your life. Women are great, right? But my goodness, like, if you're just putting yourself in hundreds of vulnerable situations, eventually something's going to happen. Look at Bill Cosby. His whole legacy's ruined, because because the world would have forgiven Bill Cosby. If Bill Cosby could have cheated on his wife 75 times, and nobody would have, they would still loved him because he was Bill Cosby. But when you just do anything in excess and you're not careful and strategic with your actions, you open yourself up to tremendous problems. And I really think that we got to have those conversations with our sons. And I don't know if enough people do. I don't know, but I'm not judging. I mean, it's like people do what they want to do. Any ETFs I should research to buy, or should I be looking at individual stocks? Vanguard has a lot of good ETFs. The S&P 500 ETF is that's pretty diversified, and they have others that can help you pinpoint specific sectors of the market. But that's what comes to mind. The S&P 500 ETF. The ticker is, or it's called a SPDR, and the ticker is SPDR. Do you agree with the mass exodus of teachers leaving the teaching profession? Yes, because we treat our teachers so badly. I would hate to be a teacher right now. God bless every teacher in here. God bless you. I love you and I appreciate you, because we do not respect you. We do not respect those children. This is what's going to destroy America. We don't pay our teachers enough, and we also put them through hell. We also don't invest in our kids. That's what's going to ruin our country. Our kids are dumb compared to the rest of the world. They're not ready for the future. The Chinese kids, they're doing like heavy calculus in the in the 6th grade. Our kids can't even read, man. And how do you think you're gonna compete when your children have, like, the adults are too busy twerking and whatever we're doing to like invest in the kids? So I'm just gonna say, yeah. So I don't blame the teachers for leaving. I would have left a long time ago. Let's see here. Maybe there's another way to teach. Like I teach, but I teach here, like on my own terms. I wouldn't go in the classroom. What do you see as the future of the woke thinking and the downward spiral in the economy? I think wokeness will still be there, but I think, there are people out here that have enough common sense to know which woke ideas make sense and which ones don't. Like the one, like this idea, like I was joking with somebody about how, they decided that, a man could decide he wants to be a woman and then go compete in women's sports in the same year. And then go dominating the women, beating their asses and, whatever. And a lot of people are starting to just say that's not right. Like, you can't, if you're a man, you want to wear a dress and be a woman, whatever you want to do, you're allowed to do that. But you shouldn't be allowed to go out and then compete with women, bringing all your testosterone and your muscles, in what becomes an unfair competition. So I think people have they're challenged. They're kind of pushing back on wokeness. But it's still here to stay. There's some progress made in that area that I don't have a problem with. Like, I don't have a problem with gay marriage. I mean, who cares if people want to get married? If they want to get married, let them get married. I don't have no issue with that. Let's see here. Let's see. You have some good information, but you're getting beside yourself. God don't like ugly, and he ain't fond of cute. Are you talking to me? Those are some pretty nasty comments, but you're not too nasty, so I'm not gonna block you yet. But you keep talking crazy, you're gonna have to go, man. Let me see here. Do you think China is a superpower? Yes, I do. Are you celebrating the 4th of July? No, not really. I mean, I got black people in the neighborhood. They're barbecuing. I'm going to go hang out with them, but that's about it. What are some alternatives for teachers leaving the profession? Well, I like the online teaching industry is really, really big right now. Daniel Leslie did a really great event today, and I know some people that are starting to teach classes online and stuff like that. There's a market for that. I think it's a matter of figuring out what people want and offering it, and find a few people that will be willing to pay you to show them what you know. So I think teachers have tremendous skill. I mean, teaching is a very powerful skill set to have, and I wouldn't assume that the only place it's valuable is in the classroom. Am I coming to Los Angeles? Not anytime soon, but I am going to come soon at some point. How do you use a pen? I don't know. It's right here. Best investment account for children. I think Stash has custodial accounts that you can get for kids. That might be an option. Or you could just invest on their behalf and then just give them the money whenever you feel like it. I was a special ed aide and it was hard work, but worth it. Yeah. God bless you, Mary J. That's a very important job. Let's see here. Will the crypto markets get back to normal? Yes, eventually, but it's going to take time. Remember, though, Bitcoin, I know that everybody's upset because Bitcoin was at 60,000. Now it's down to 18 or 20 or whatever. But remember, Bitcoin was at like 2,500 not too long ago. So if you started investing back then, back when Bitcoin was 1, 2, 3,000, you've still made a massive ROI. And Bitcoin is maintaining its value pretty well. I mean, it's maintaining 18,000. That's a big number. That's huge. So we think it's small because it's not as big as it was before. But Bitcoin is here to stay. I mean, so if you like crypto and you believe in it, then go ahead and this might be your opportunity. I'm buying. I consistently buy Bitcoin and Ethereum every week. It's something I just add to my portfolio. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I believe it's going to recover at some point. How do you feel about developing more black male PhDs? I mean, okay. I don't see why not. I don't like academia. I don't like the racism and I think universities, I think they're a little overly committed to liberal thinking to the point where it just makes you want to vomit. It's like it almost feels like brainwashing or social engineering. And I don't think all the liberal ideas or all the conservative ideas are necessarily fit for the black community. I think we have to come up with our own ideas and stop letting white people tell us what to think. How do I monetize my programming skills if I develop an app? Go take a class on how to start a business. There are programs that specifically teach you how to take whatever skill you have and monetize it. We have stuff like that in the Black Business School. So feel free to go to the Black Business School. You can go to boycewatkins.com. You can hit that link. But there's plenty of stuff out there. You got to learn how. The key idea, the biggest skill a person can have to be successful money-wise, I think, is the ability to sell. If you have something that people want and you know how to sell it, and meaning offer it in a way that will make them say, oh, I think I'd like that. People spend money all the time. And they will, and it's not even, and if you have something people want and you help them understand how they can use it, you're not even really making a sale. They're happy to give you their money. They're like, great, I need this, and you got it. Okay, here, where can I buy? Think about it. Look at how much money we all spend. We spend money like crazy. It's not like, I ordered Chipotle today. It's not like Chipotle really had to sell me their chicken. They just had to have some chicken available, and I wanted to give them my money. You understand? So don't think of it as it's like some overly magical process. Just think of it as like a skill set that you didn't get as a kid that I suggest you pick up later on. I really believe that a person that no good salesperson should ever be broke, period. All right, so let me keep going. Let's see here. Any suggestions on venues that may accept a lecture from the Minister of Wellness? He's doing them at no cost right now. I'm in Chicago. I don't have any venues. I like the Minister of Wellness. He's my buddy. He's a great guy. What do you think of the stock market? Is it a good idea to be investing now, hold out a little longer? I'm investing now. I'm buying everything I can get my hands on. Dr. Umar Johnson has a great idea, but execution of the idea is slow, lack of organization. He needs a project manager. Check. I agree with every single comment you just made. How do you feel about abortion laws? I'm probably pro-choice because I'm not necessarily going to go out of my way to stop somebody else from doing what they want to do. But at the same time, I have a bias because I was a great candidate for the procedure. And also, I think that the way we have that conversation is all wrong. I believe in fathers' rights. I believe fathers should have the right to have some say in what happens to their seed. Also, the whole my body, my choice debate. It's what it does is it gives one group their rights, and unfortunately, it's at the expense of everybody else. So, as a father, you're telling me I have no rights because you want to have rights. Because you want to have rights, I have none. And so, I just really think Planned Parenthood starts with who you plan to lay down with. My body, my choice starts with the bedroom. It doesn't start with the clinic, and that's where I stand on that. But it's in terms of me, going out and fighting somebody's right to get the procedure. I'm not one to do that, but I will not participate in that procedure. If I was with somebody that was pregnant, I'd be like, no, I want to have this baby because it doesn't sit well with my spirit. I didn't like Janelle, what's her name? Jamel Hill wrote an article where she basically was explaining, I guess, because, they like to use black people as their pawns for whatever their agenda is. So they get Jamel Hill, and she writes an article that pretty much read exactly the way I knew it was going to read. And if you look at Jamel's background, part of the reason she also has like issues with men and all that is because her daddy was a drug addict. Like, I knew this, I predicted these things, and then I researched it and found out. She said first time I met my daddy, he was on high on heroin or something crazy like that. So anyway, it wasn't that exact words, but it was something similar to that. So she writes that, she got the procedure done. And she says, I did it when I was 27. I had plenty of money, plenty of family support. I just did it because my career was so important. That's selfish to me. Where I come from, that's just selfish. I'm not saying that I'm going to beat somebody up if that's what they do. But my feeling is, then why not just not get pregnant? Why not, what is this? So it comes off, it feels to me like there's just, like this accountability thing that we have trouble with. And people feel that by asking for some degree of accountability for your children or your family, that you're being oppressive. And it's like, no, that's not oppressive. It's just common sense to me. So, I'm not going to be one to necessarily fight to overturn Roe versus Wade the other way. But also Roe versus Wade, remember, it was built just on a horrible lie. I read the whole history of Jane Roe, and Jane Roe was a really troubled lady. Like, she was really like, she robbed a convenience store when she was 10 and ran across state lines with her girlfriend at the age of 10. And so she got pregnant like 3 times before the age of 21. And the third time she wanted to get an abortion. And what she did was she lied and said a group of black men raped her. And so I just really think that all these conversations have to be had so we can kind of know that all this was built on a lie anyway. So, I'm not necessarily going to follow it. I'm not necessarily going to fight against it. But honestly, if you ask me, do I think children deserve to live or die? I think kids deserve to live. That's just what sits well with my heart. Should I do a tax deferred account to reduce my taxes? If you can, yeah. Do you trade in the Forex market? Not a lot. How do you feel about trades, training instead of college? I think trades, Leslie, are awesome. I think trades, most people I know that have a trade make more money than people I know with a college degree. I know a lot of people with a college degree who ain't making no money. You provoked me to read up on her. Thank you. You're welcome. Do you think Jay Morrison's going to be a billionaire? Yes, I do. And I mean, to me, he's already worth $1 billion to the community because that Black House is amazing. You got to go check out the Black House one day. How do you get music movie producers to admit they stole copyrights at gunpoint? I have no idea. That sounds scary. At age 21, how to invest $1,000? An S&P 500 index fund or something like that might be a good place to start. How do you feel? Let's see here. Next question. Let's see. Somebody said, okay, stop it with the attacks on the liberals. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Always copyright your work. Absolutely. Let's see here. Oh, wait. How do you feel about, wait, okay, I saw that question. I'm scrolling. Do you celebrate American holidays? A little bit, I mean, we do Christmas and stuff. Let's see. Next question. Dr. Boyce, do you think someone getting a sociology degree can go into entrepreneurship and this is feel lucrative? Yes. Sharif Abdul Malik started We Buy Black. I think he's probably a millionaire by now. And he was a social work major, which is pretty close to sociology. So absolutely. I think it doesn't matter what your major is, as long as you learn and take your time to learn the skills you need. I need help with my finances. What is the best thing I should do? The first thing I should do, I would say, get in the habit of taking in information that can be beneficial to you financially, but don't pressure yourself, right? Just maybe pick a couple podcasts to listen to where they're going to talk about money and common sense economics and stuff like that. And then if you get to the point where you could take a class that doesn't cost a lot of money, maybe take a little class. Again, we have stuff in the Black Business School if you're interested. If you go to boycewatkins.com, it's all right there. If you actually go to blackmoneyminute.com and get an e-copy of my book, there's free stuff I send you. I send you lots of free stuff and free information. I talk about economics all the time, and I don't think there's a way anybody could listen to me on a regular basis and not be incredibly economically intelligent. If you watch more than 10 of my podcasts, your economic intelligence is probably higher, much higher than the average college educated adult, because I talk about concepts that that are pretty high level, but I know how to reduce them to where anybody can understand them. I know how to apply them to damn near anything in your life. I'm good at this. This is something. This is what I was put on this earth to do. And so really, I think a lot of learning is cultural and conversational, right? Just with my kids, we just talk about stuff. We just have conversations. So my kids naturally are smarter. They use longer words and stuff because we're just naturally just talking about stuff. It's not like I sit them down and make them memorize a bunch of crap. It's like more like, let me explain why you want to have your own business. You don't want to be told what to do, so if you have your own business and you're making your own money, then you don't have to go to work and have somebody be mean to you all day. My 11-year-old gets that. We don't talk. She doesn't know how to fill out the form for an LLC and all that. She's going to go learn that, because what I'm giving her is not so much the specific information. I'm giving her the value system. I'm helping her prioritize how she wants to conduct her life. So she tells me she wants to be a dancer in Paris, and I'm like, okay, well, I've got some money invested for you. Your dad does. I'm her bonus dad, so she's lucky. She's got 2 dads, and we take good care of her. We protect her, and so you're gonna have some of that wealth, and then also you're gonna have some skill so that you're gonna have your own business. Let me show you. How filmmakers and stuff like that operate when they operate independently. And then you can go live in Paris and do whatever the hell you want, because you're going to create a life that allows you to have enough money that you can create the financial security where you can go out and do what's important in life, which is to be happy. To me, the goal in life is not to be the CEO of something or to have some famous or some fancy position as a head manager of some company or to have some fancy degree. The goal in life is to be happy. And so I just said, look, I don't care what your profession is. I just want you to be happy. So if dancing in Paris makes you happy, let's figure out a way we can finance that lifestyle that you want. And let's talk about that. Okay. So I encourage you to have creative conversations with your kids. Also, I know that, I have a few more resources than most people do. But if you don't have the resources you need, don't sell yourself short. Your love and your attention and the knowledge that you pick up just from listening to people like me and by sharing that with your kids, that goes a long way. My grandmother taught me about economics, and she got an associate's degree. She never made more than $22,000 a year, but she taught me things that guided a big chunk of my life. My grandma she would keep an old school little notepad and just a little budget on a piece of paper and did old school grandma stuff. And her financial game was airtight. You hear me? I'm talking about savings maxed out, credit cards paid off, credit score perfect. Like, grandma was on it and did not make a lot of money to do that. She just had the right values. So what you must understand is that wealth building and wealth preservation is not about your training level. It is about your damn value system. What matters to you and how do you live your life? So don't sell yourself short. There are ways. There's always something you can do. Your power is infinite, especially when it comes to your kids. But you need to see that in order for you to be able to manifest that. Okay. All right. I'm done talking. I'm getting kind of tired. So anyway, by the way, don't forget July 7th. That's when we start our next Black Wealth Bootcamp. We're going to focus solely on stock options and how to sell stock options in order to generate consistent income for your portfolio. It's a great tool to have in this stock market because stock prices are not going up the way they used to. They're staying pretty flat and sometimes going down. Well, if you're selling stock options, you're able to generate income even in a down market. So if that's something of interest to you and you'd like to get good at that, then feel free to go to boycewatkins.com and you can sign up. Look for my covered call program. Also on Instagram, you can hit the link in the bio. Okay. All right, guys. Well, have a good night. It was fun. And I hope you have a wonderful holiday weekend and save some barbecue for me. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.